To quote the immortal Mary Poppins, just a spoonful of horror makes your head turn inside out. Or something like that. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Hello homies, welcome back to Oktoberfest here on Thumb Together. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give this a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well, because today we are going to be talking about an obscure gem, maybe the most obscure of the obscure gems on this list, but everybody is going to have a good time today. I promise you that. Folks, we are talking about the stuff. Yeah, you didn't read that thumbnail wrong. This movie is actually called The Stuff. It came out in June of 1985 to absolutely no critical acclaim whatsoever and was inevitably lost to time. You see, The Stuff was promoted as a horror movie when in reality it's more of a satirical comedy with horror elements. Regardless though, they didn't do a great job marketing it and it just came out at the wrong time. There was too much going on in cinemas. It got buried, forgotten, but the people who saw it all seem to agree it's not great, but it's very, very fun. Because guys, the straight 411 here is that The Stuff is one of those so bad it's good kind of movies. It starts very abruptly with almost no tension or setup, and essentially what the plot is that there are these people mining or digging or something, and they come across a pool of bubbling white viscous liquid buried deep in the earth. For some reason, some idiot decides he wants to taste this liquid, and upon tasting it, he discovers that it tastes really, really good, and he can't stop eating it. So he sells this white stuff to a food company, and the food company decides to slap a label on it, package it, call it The Stuff, and sell it in supermarkets as a quasi-ice creamish, quasi-fluffernutter-ish kind of dairy product. The result? Everyone in America is going crazy for The Stuff. Anybody who eats it can't stop eating it to the point where that is all they ever want to eat. Michael Moriarty plays an industrial saboteur who's hired by the rivals of the food company that owns The Stuff. They want him to try to infiltrate the company and figure out how the stuff is made, basically steal the secret formula and bring it back to them so they can replicate it and have a chance in the industry. So Moriarty embarks on this quest of investigation and meets a whole slew of characters along the way, including the woman who's in charge of marketing the stuff, who all of a sudden, inexplicably, he begins a romantic relationship with, out of nowhere. A guy named Chocolate Chip Charlie, who used to be a beloved seller of ice creams and other desserts and sweets, who all of a sudden found himself swept under the bus once the stuff came along, and a kid named Jason, who accidentally peeked into his fridge one night at like 3 o'clock in the morning and saw the stuff moving on its own and decided, oh my god, I am not eating that, even though the rest of his family has already been eating it for days and days. These 4 characters soon become what looks like the only characters in America who won't eat the stuff, and it becomes clearly evident that everybody who does eat the stuff is almost like they're under some kind of mind control where they will force stuff down your throat so you can become like them. Whatever the stuff is, it's absolutely malicious and absolutely wants to take over people's minds, but we never really get a clear answer as to exactly why or how. It's just, if it gets in your body, it is going to take over your body. The general consensus seems to be that the stuff is sort of an alien goo, kind of like the symbiote goo from Spider-Man, except instead of taking different shapes or anything like that, it just kind of moves, kind of like the Blob from the Blob movie, but it can be split up and separated into multiple chunks, and as long as it enters your bloodstream, it can control your body kind of like a puppet. And that, in a nutshell, is The Stuff. It's about these characters as they work their way through an increasingly devastated American landscape where it's kind of like a post-apocalypse, except instead of nuclear radiation or zombies or what have you, it's just the stuff. The whole thing is a satirical look at the marketing of brands and foods and how we all kind of, we devour what's popular and we want everybody else to devour the same thing. If you have ever in your life worked in advertising, there's probably a lot in this movie that you are going to absolutely adore. If you're just looking for a straight up horror, something to scare the pants off of you, stay away from The Stuff because it's not that kind of movie. You're going to be laughing and groaning a lot more then you will be screaming. Trust me. But like I said, it is a so bad it's good movie, and I really, really enjoy those kind of movies. When I first saw the stuff, I was absolutely delighted by it. I could watch it over and over again. And whenever I see something like this that I know is an obscure, hidden little gem, I want to show that gem to the world and get people interested. It's always a shame when movies like this kind of get forgotten and left by the wayside. But I'll tell you two people who definitely have not forgotten the stuff. Those two people would be the Duffer Brothers, the creators of Stranger Things. Take a look back at Stranger Things Season 3 when you see the marquee at the movie theater at Starcourt Mall. Look what's playing alongside stuff like Return to Oz and Back to the Future. The Duffer Brothers literally know their stuff. Because of its severe obscurity and schlockiness, the stuff is very, very difficult to find on home media. Thankfully, I just completely stumbled across a copy at pure random at a Sunrise Records one day. Now, this is probably the best version of the stuff you can get on home media. This is the Blu-ray put out by Arrow Video. Arrow is great for putting out old horror classics and obscure gems like this. Them and Anchor Bay, they're the best in the business. But if you ever want to grab a copy of the stuff, it might set you back a little bit. But trust me, this is a piece of not very good, but also incredibly fun horror cinema that you can't afford to miss. And good luck getting the Stuff theme song out of your head once you've watched it. Anyway, my name is Andrew Fantasia. That's been Oktoberfest for today. I'm going to see you here once again very shortly, and until then, adios.